Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cold swimming pool. You know you should jump in, you want to, but something holds you back. Your mind hesitates. You think, maybe I'll do it later. But then later turns into never. This tiny moment of hesitation is the same thing that kills dreams, ruins opportunities, and keeps people stuck in the same cycle for years. Scientists have found that the human brain takes just 5 seconds to talk you out of doing something difficult. 5 seconds. That's all it takes for your brain to flood you with doubt, fear, and excuses, and once that happens, game over. But what if there was a way to hack that hesitation? What if, instead of waiting for motivation, you could force your brain to take action before fear even has a chance to creep in? That's exactly what one woman did, and it changed her life forever. Mel Robbins, a woman who hit rock bottom, discovered this by accident. She was drowning in debt, struggling in her marriage, and so depressed that she couldn't even get out of bed. Every morning she'd hit the snooze button over and over, telling herself, "Tomorrow, I'll change," but tomorrow never came. Then one night she saw a rocket launch on TV, and she had this random thought: what if I launched myself out of bed like that rocket? The next morning, instead of waiting, she counted backward, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and forced herself to move. That tiny action rewired her brain. She started using it for everything: getting out of bed, making tough calls, speaking up in meetings. Within months, her entire life changed. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds too simple to work, but let's test it. Think about one thing you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting that business, making that phone call, going to the gym, or finally having that tough conversation. You know you need to do it, but every time you think about it, you hesitate. Your brain starts whispering, later, tomorrow, maybe when I'm ready. But deep down, you know that later is just an excuse. Now, imagine if, instead of waiting for motivation, you use the 5-second rule. The next time you feel hesitation creeping in, you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And move before your brain has a chance to stop you. That single action disrupts your autopilot, silences self-doubt, and forces you into action. Think about it. How many times have you let hesitation steal an opportunity? A study from the University of Scranton found that 92% of people never achieve their goals, not because they're not capable, but because they never start. They overthink, wait for the right time, and let fear make their decisions for them. But successful people? They don't wait. They act before they feel ready. Let's take a real-life example. There was a man who always dreamed of being a public speaker, but every time he got the chance to step on stage, fear took over. His heart raced, his palms got sweaty, and he told himself, "I'll try next time." That next time never came. Until one day, he tried something different. Right before stepping on stage, instead of letting fear control him, he counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And he walked up before his brain had a chance to stop him. That single moment changed everything. He crushed his speech, gained confidence, and eventually became a top motivational speaker. Now, imagine what would happen if you applied this to your own life. What's one thing you know you need to do but keep avoiding? That project, that workout, that phone call? Ask yourself, if not now, when? Because here's the truth. Motivation is a myth. It's not coming to save you. The people who change their lives don't wait until they feel like it. They train themselves to take action before they feel ready. And that's exactly what you're going to do. The next time you hesitate, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And watch how your life starts changing. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they give up too soon. They start with excitement, but somewhere along the way, they lose focus, fall back into old habits, and tell themselves, maybe this just isn't for me. But what if I told you that 90 days of radical self-discipline could completely transform your life? Not just in small ways, but in ways so massive that you wouldn't even recognize yourself 3 months from now. Sounds extreme, right? But here's the shocking part. Studies show that over 80% of people abandon their goals within the first 30 days. They start strong but quit before they ever see real results. So what separates the people who succeed from those who don't? Commitment to the long game. Let me tell you a story about someone who tested this. There was a man, let's call him Jake, who was stuck in the same cycle for years. Every January, he made a long list of goals: get in shape, start a business, read more books. But by February, his motivation disappeared, and he went right back to old habits. He told himself the same thing every year: I just don't have enough discipline. Then one day he stumbled upon a challenge: 90 days of relentless consistency. The rules were simple. Pick 3 things that would move his life forward and do them every single day, no matter what. Even if he was tired, even if he was busy, even if he didn't feel like it, he chose 3 habits. Wake up at 5 a.m., no snooze button, no excuses. 1 hour of deep work on his business before checking his phone. Exercise for 30 minutes every day. The first week was hard. His body fought against the early mornings, his mind craved distractions, and every part of him wanted to quit. But then something strange happened. By week 3, it became automatic. His body adjusted, his focus sharpened, and he started seeing results. By day 60, he had built a side business that made more money than his job. By day 90, he was in the best shape of his life. Now imagine if he had quit after 30 days like most people do. He would have never seen the transformation waiting for him on the other side of discomfort. So here's the real question. What could your life look like 90 days from now if you stopped quitting on yourself? Think about it. Right now, there's a version of you living a completely different life, the life you dream about. The only thing separating you from that version of yourself is the discipline to keep going when it gets hard. Now, you might be thinking, 90 days is a long time. But let's be real. 90 days are going to pass anyway. The question is, will you be the same person at the end of them, or will you be unrecognizable? This isn't about motivation. Motivation fades. It's about rewiring your brain to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. And the best part? You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just need to pick 3 habits that, if done every single day, would make your future self proud. What are they? Is it waking up early? Reading for 20 minutes? Eliminating distractions? Working on a passion project? You already know what they are. You've just been waiting for the right time to start. But here's the truth. There is no perfect time. You just have to start. So, let me challenge you. Commit to 90 days. Just 90 days. That's all it takes to break the cycle, build momentum, and see what you're truly capable of. And when you reach that finish line, you'll look back and realize you were always capable. You just had to prove it to yourself. What if I told you that one daily habit separates millionaires from everyone else? It's not luck, intelligence, or even hard work. It's something so simple, yet most people ignore it. Focusing on high-impact tasks. Here's the shocking truth. The average person wastes 80% of their time on things that don't move their life forward. Scrolling through social media, checking emails every 5 minutes, saying yes to things that don't matter. Meanwhile, the top 1%, the people who create massive success, focus almost all their energy on just a few high-value actions that give them the biggest results. This is called the 80/20 rule, and once you understand it, you'll never look at time the same way again. Let me tell you a story about a man who discovered this rule the hard way. His name was Matt. He was ambitious, worked 12-hour days, and barely took breaks. But despite all the effort, he wasn't making real progress. He was exhausted, overworked, and still struggling financially. One day, his mentor asked him a simple question: "What's actually making you money?" Matt paused. He was doing 100 little things, replying to emails, tweaking his website, posting on social media, but when he really thought about it, he realized that only two things were bringing in money: talking to clients and closing deals. His mentor told him, "Then why are you wasting your time on anything else?" That moment changed everything. Matt stopped spending hours on low-value tasks. He delegated small things, stopped answering pointless emails, and put 80% of his time into the two actions that actually made him money. Within a year, his income tripled, without working harder, just working smarter. Now think about your own life. What's your version of checking emails and tweaking your website? What are the things you spend hours on that feel productive, but don't actually move you forward? If you're not sure, try this. For the next 3 days, track everything you do. Write it down. Then ask yourself, which 20% of these actions are actually giving me results? That's where your focus should be. This applies to everything, not just business, but fitness, relationships, and personal growth. In fitness, for example, most people spend hours doing random workouts, but just 20 minutes of high-intensity training can burn more fat than an hour of steady exercise. In relationships, instead of texting people all day, spending one deep, uninterrupted hour with someone builds more connection than a week of distracted conversations. The point is, success isn't about doing more, it's about doing what actually matters. So let's make this personal. If I asked you, what's the one thing you could do today that would make the biggest impact on your future? What would it be? Is it working on that side hustle? Making that important call? Investing time in something that will actually change your life instead of just keeping you busy? Most people never ask themselves this, and that's exactly why they stay stuck. But now you know better. From today on, stop confusing busyness with progress. Focus on the one habit that separates the top 1% from everyone else, working on what actually matters. And when you do that, everything changes. Most people fail because they believe the lie that one bad day doesn't matter. They skip the gym once, tell themselves they'll start fresh on Monday, and before they know it, they're back at square one. But here's a brutal truth. Success isn't built in a day, but it can be lost in one. A study from the University of London found that when you skip a habit just once, the chances of quitting completely increase by over 50%. It's not the big failures that destroy dreams. It's the tiny, daily decisions to do nothing. That's why the no 0 days rule changes everything. It's simple. Never let a single day pass without doing at least one thing that moves you forward, even if it's small, even if it's just 1%, because progress compounds. Let me tell you about someone who lived by this rule and how it turned their life around. There was a man named Alex. He was struggling, completely stuck. His business was failing, his health was getting worse, and every day he felt overwhelmed by how much needed to change. So he did what most people do: nothing. He told himself, "I'll start when I have more energy, more time, when things settle down," but nothing ever changed. Then one night, he read a simple post online: no 0 days. The idea was this: even if you're exhausted, even if you feel like giving up, just do something. Write one sentence, do one push-up, take one small step forward. So the next day, instead of lying in bed feeling like a failure, he did just one thing. He sent a single email about his business. It took him 2 minutes. The next day, he did something else, one tiny step, then another. At first, it felt like nothing, but within weeks, something changed. That single email led to a business opportunity. That one push-up turned into 10. That one tiny step became momentum. And in 6 months, his entire life was unrecognizable. Now imagine if he had kept waiting for the perfect moment to start. So let me ask you, how many times have you told yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? But how many next times have you already wasted? Here's the secret. The perfect time doesn't exist. You don't need motivation. You don't need the stars to align. You just need to commit to never having a 0 day. It doesn't matter how small the action is, just do something. One step, one push-up, one page, one tiny move forward. Because when you add those up, day after day, they turn into results you never imagined possible. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who get everything right. They're the ones who refuse to do nothing. No more 0 days. Close your eyes for a second. Picture yourself 5 years from now. Where are you? What does your life look like? Are you living in the dream home you always wanted? Running your own business? In the best shape of your life? Or are you in the exact same place you are right now, still making the same excuse? Here's a shocking fact. 95% of people will be in the exact same place 5 years from now. Same struggles, same paycheck, same unfulfilled dreams. Not because they weren't capable, but because they never asked themselves the one question that could have changed everything. What would my future self beg me to start doing today? There was a man named Chris. He was talented, had big dreams, and always told himself, one day, I'll make it happen. But years passed and nothing changed. He was still at the same job he hated, still making excuses, still waiting for the right time to go after his dreams. Then, one night, he had a random thought. If 40-year-old me could come back and talk to me right now, what would he say? And the answer hit him like a ton of bricks. He'd tell me to stop waiting, to start now, because every day I waste, I'm stealing from my own future. That moment changed everything. Instead of waiting, he started taking action. Even if it was small, even if it wasn't perfect, he did something every single day that moved him toward the life he actually wanted. And within a year, he had built a business, quit his job, and was living the life he used to dream about. Now, let me ask you, what would your future self say to you right now? Would they thank you? Or would they be disappointed that you let fear, procrastination, and self-doubt steal years of your life? Because here's the truth. Time will pass whether you take action or not. 5 years from now, you will either be proud of the choices you made today or regret the ones you didn't. Most people don't think about this. They live as if they have unlimited time. But let's get real. How many more years are you willing to waste before you finally take your dreams seriously? If you don't like the answer, good. That means today is the day everything changes. So here's what you're going to do. Write a letter from your future self to you, 5 years from now. Imagine your best life. What advice would future you give you? What would they tell you to stop wasting time on? What would they beg you to start doing right now? And then, do it. Because the only difference between who you are now and who you could be is the actions you choose to take today. There's a moment in life that defines everything. A moment where you either take control or let life keep pushing you around. For most people, that moment never comes because they never decide to make it happen. They wait, they hope, they tell themselves, one day things will get better. But here's the truth, nothing changes until you do. And here's a stat that will shake you. Over 70% of people die with regrets about the risks they didn't take, the dreams they didn't chase, the time they wasted waiting for the right moment that never came. Let me tell you about someone who almost became part of that statistic. His name was Daniel. For years he dreamed of starting his own business, traveling the world and living life on his own terms. But every time he thought about it, he heard the same voices in his head. What if I fail? What will people think? Maybe next year. And so he waited. Then one day, everything changed. He got a phone call. His childhood best friend had passed away suddenly. No warning, no second chances, just gone. And in that moment, it hit him like a freight train. Life doesn't wait. All those dreams he kept putting off, he realized that if he didn't act now, he might never get the chance. So, for the first time in his life, he stopped overthinking. He stopped waiting. He made a decision to take control. Within 6 months, he quit his job, launched his business, and booked a one-way ticket to his dream destination. And the crazy part? Everything worked out. Not because he had some special talent or because things magically got easier, but because he finally stopped letting fear make his decisions for him. Now let me ask you, what's the thing you've been putting off? That dream you keep telling yourself you'll get to someday? That goal you know would change your life if you just started? What if today was the day you finally made the decision? Because here's what most people don't realize. Your life is already happening, right now. And every day you spend waiting, hesitating, making excuses, you're robbing yourself of the life you could be living. Think about this. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing now, where will you be in a year? 5 years? Are you okay with that? If not, then this is your moment. Decide right here, right now, that you're done waiting, that you're taking control, that you're not going to be one of the 70% who die with regrets. Because the life you want, it's not waiting for you, it's waiting for you to decide to go get it.